Delegate Hough here for our weekly update, and this was not a good week for common sense in Annapolis. I want to focus on two pieces of legislation that I think show the real problem and the disconnect we have here in Annapolis from the regular public. The first bill, one came up to the floor dealing with mothers who, when they give birth to their babies, at the time of delivery, the mothers are high on some sort of drugs like heroin or cocaine. And the bill simply said that at the time of the birth, if they're high on these sort of drugs, they would report that to Child Protective Services. Now, one delegate from Harford County found a flaw in the law and basically offered an amendment on the floor to say, well, we should notify Department of Public Services during the pregnancy, basically before the damage has been done to the unborn child. I thought this was a common sense amendment. It basically simply said that if during pregnancy a woman is high on a Schedule 1 or Schedule 2 drug, like heroin or cocaine, one of those types of drugs, and there are things that we know that hurt the unborn baby, that the mother would be reported to Child Protective Services so that we could try to get her help, try to get her off of these types of deadly poisons before she injures the baby or herself. Unfortunately, the amendment, this common sense amendment, was defeated almost along party lines. And it shows you the kind of disconnect you have down here in Annapolis and the real lack of people that sometimes aren't willing to stand up against these party line votes and other things like that to do what's right. And the other bill I want to talk about, one that's going to affect us locally here in Frederick County, there's a bill coming up next week on debate. We held the bill back so that we could offer a number of amendments to it. And it basically says for our teachers and those who work in public schools, like custodians and secretaries, if they choose not to join the local teachers union, that they will have to pay dues to the union regardless. Now, I think this is a total wrong bill. It smacks of union thuggery and the bully-type tactics that unfortunately are so often aligned with many of these union bills. And I think it also gets into individual liberties. I think employees should have the right of freedom of association, whether to join a union or not. This has nothing to do with whether unions are good or not, or the Frederick County Teachers Association, whether that is a worthy thing to join or not. Just employees, teachers, custodians, secretaries should all have the right to decide whether to join or not. This bill would basically take away that right, force them to pay union dues. This is a statewide bill. In the past, some counties have decided to do it and some have not. But as I said, typical of a lot of these union bills down here, they're going to force everybody, regardless of your political, personal beliefs, that you have to join a union or have to pay dues to the union in order to have in order to have a job. I think that's completely wrong, and these are two good examples of legislation where there's a huge disconnect down here in Annapolis from, in my opinion, what the average person knows is right and what's wrong. So until next week, have a blessed week.